when you're selling your home and you're dealing with cash offers or wholesale people, there are a lot of people out there that get duped into bad contracts. Whether it's they're selling their home to someone, they've got a wholesaler that wants to, lock their house up. They're working with a large hedge fund that advertises all over the place to give you a cash offer. Or you're working with a real estate agent that isn't experienced or doesn't explain things thoroughly. So I first want to start off with wholesalers. A lot of people don't understand what a wholesaler is, but a wholesaler is someone who really, their goal is not selling your house. Their goal is to sign a contract with you and then find somebody to buy your house. And they want to make the difference. So they're going to take your house to a group of investors. It's going to get beat up. You're probably going to renegotiate multiple times. Your house is probably going to sit there for months. They're going to extend the contract. They're going to put down very little escrow. It is a bad way for a lot of people to sell their homes, especially traditionally. Sometimes it can work with a motivated seller, but I think there's enough cash out there in the marketplace today that you just don't need to let a wholesaler take part of your equity. I think you can go direct to enough investors out there today that have cash that want to buy opportunities. I'm one of them. DuncanDuo.com. We're giving cash offers all the time. The reality is a lot of consumers get duped and they don't read the contract. And they call us and they say, oh, well, I sold my house. And 2 months later, we call them and they're like, oh, no, we still haven't closed. Why haven't you closed? It's cash. And then come to find out they've got a $200 escrow deposit and a guy that's got an assignable contract that's basically taking the house and put it all over Facebook and Craigslist and MLS because he's trying to find somebody that buys this house he's got on a contract for $200 for $220 so he can make his $20. All right. You didn't really sell your house. You just basically negotiated the right of way to sell it and gave away some of your equity. So know what a wholesaler is, know what a real buyer is. Real buyer is going to put up substantial escrow. A real buyer is going to be able to prove that they bought a lot of homes. You're going to be able to look up their LLC and see that they own real estate. They're going to have testimonials. They're going to have a reputation. They're going to have a background. You're going to be able to confirm that they're legitimate. Contracts that are wholesale driven, a lot of times it's guys that they took a class. They don't have any intention of buying your house. They just want to take that paper and flip it to somebody else. So be cautious. Review your contract. Always reach out. You can certainly reach out to us. We'll give you certainly some advice or opinion. You can reach out to an attorney to have an attorney review the contract, but strong recommendation. This is a market that's really challenging. If you're letting a wholesaler try and flip your property, you're giving away some equity. Again, you do the same thing in a cash offer situation. You're going to give away some equity to them too. The difference is convenience. With a wholesaler, you're not really getting the convenience. You're not getting a quick, clean cash deal. You're getting somebody that locks your house up and then has excuses to try and delay the process because they're trying to find a buyer for it so that they can sell it to that person for a higher amount and they can make the difference. But you're not getting convenience out of it. Whereas that end user hedge fund is also going to want a discounted off the price, but they're going to buy and they're going to close on it and it's going to be convenient. So those are the two differences. Another thing I think is important is to compare selling fees. We go out and make cash offers all the time. We had one not long ago. Went out to a house. We offered $220 for it. And they said, we offer $220, no fees, no costs, no nothing, literally like $220. No commission, nothing. Here's $220. So these people offered me $232, so I'm going to take their offer. They got the vanity and the excitement of the $232 that they could go and tell their friends at happy hour they sold their house for $232. But the reality was that $232 had 8%, an 8% selling fee. It's like over $18,000. They were getting $214. Do some math, people. Whip out your calculator. Go to Grok, type it in, use some AI. Okay, do some math. Those people lost money. They lost several $1,000s because they didn't do the math. They didn't realize, they didn't look at it. They didn't ask for a net number. They didn't read the contract. So read your contract, compare apples to apples. If somebody says, hey, I'll give you, $400 cash right now, close in a few weeks. And then you've got the guy that says, you know what, I'll give you $410, but I'm only going to give you $300 now. And then I'm going to renovate the house. And as long as the house sells for as much as I think it's going to sell, then I'll give you $110. So you'll make $10,000 more. What if that $110 ever shows up? Now, again, for some people, that deal that could net them more money might make more sense. But for a lot of consumers, they get caught up in the net number and they don't look at the terms. They don't look at the fees. You've got to compare apples to apples. Too many people are comparing apples to oranges and they're saying, oh, I got $400 for my house. No, you didn't. You paid an 8% selling fee. I would have given you $375. And it's the same thing with real estate agents. People will say, oh, I'm going to go with the guy that's cheaper. And then the guy with cheaper doesn't spend money on advertising, doesn't hire professional photos, isn't a great negotiator, doesn't have the right syndication for the house, isn't very good, which is why he's cheap, writes a bad description, takes some crap photos, puts it on the market 3 months later, prices have dropped even more. And those people going with a cheap agent failed out, lost a bunch of money, ate a bunch of mortgage payments. Prices have dropped since then because they thought they were saving money going with a cheap agent. I've always said this, I'll say it again. Cheap work ain't good and good work ain't cheap. The best real estate agents in the market are not the cheapest ones, but they're the ones that are going to net you the most money, sell your home the fastest, and do the best job. When people in a challenging market like today, when people go to the cheapest agent, it's a fail. And I cannot tell you how many times it's like, well, what'd they charge you? Well, they charged me 4%, or they charged me this percent, or they charged me that percent. No, they didn't. They didn't charge you anything. They didn't sell your house. They didn't charge you a penny because they couldn't get it done. You didn't save anything. You lost. In the process of picking a real estate agent today, man, it could not be more important to pick somebody that's got an advertising budget, that's got experience, that's got syndication, that has some experience, that knows how to get homes sold in a challenging market. All these things matter. If you're going with the cheapest agent, you're going to pay for it. And that's just the reality of a challenging market. That blueprint worked a few years ago. That could have worked. Not today. So if you want the best, you know where to find us. DuncanDuo.com, at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.